So this is where we're going to start. This is literally the first thing. And I would say this, that what you're doing here, you are setting the stage. You are telling the family what to expect. And again, like sometimes, man, when you walk into those furniture stores and you have those like salespeople just hovering by the door and they attack you, it's like, you want to de-escalate, take the pressure down. And you take the pressure down by telling them exactly what's going to happen. This is setting the stage. This is, hey, welcome. My name's Brett, and welcome to Platinum Resort. And we're chit-chat for a minute. Here's what's going to happen next. That's really what setting the stage are. These are the components that I put in my quick little pitch. It's only like 30 seconds it takes to set the stage. And this is really just telling them, here's what's going to happen next. Is this okay with you? Right? And it's time. This is going to take about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how many questions we have. I'm going to show you the room. I'll ask you some questions about your loved one so that I can get a better understanding of them to make sure this is a good fit. And we'll wrap up by providing you all the pricing and additional materials that you're going to need. Right? So it goes back to their expectations. You are meeting their expectations. You're telling them it's going to take 20 to 30 minutes. I'm going to show you the room. You're going to find out the pricing. I'll be asking you a few questions about your loved one so that I know if this is a good fit or not, and then you can make your own decision. Very low pressure, right? I'm not doing anything crazy here. So setting the stage, the expectations, and it really kind of wraps into this part of it here. And I think I title it the quick pitch, but this is your summary. This is what makes you unique. This is what makes you special. If they are touring you and 5 other places, what do you want them to know that makes you different than those other places? It's just your quick summary. And who are your people? Who is it that you take care of? Are you more lighter levels of care? Are you end of life care? Are you memory care and dementia? This is where you would say, hey, here's our specialty. Here's who we take care of. Here's the services that we provide. So for example, here's our kind of summary, our quick pitch. At Platinum Resort, we offer all the care and amenities that you can get at one of the big facilities, but we do it in a beautiful custom-built mansion. Everyone has their own private room, their own private bath. We have a salon, we have a chef, we have managers around the clock that will take care of all of their needs, their medication needs. We have hospice that comes in. We have a doctor for the house that comes in every week. Everything that you could get at one of those big facilities, we'll do here, better and more intimate. That's really the gist of what I say. That's not memorized. I just literally didn't think about it. I just said it. I've said it 1,000 times. So that is my kind of quick pitch. And that's what makes us special, right? What makes you special? This is what you want them to hear. You're kind of setting the stage with, here is what is my biggest takeaway. So as we get into the next thing, I would kind of break this into 2 different types of people that are coming to tour with you. You're going to have, at least from our experience, and our experience is more end of life kind of stuff, that we kind of have about 50-50 with 2 types of family avatars. And that are the people who are there to literally just verbally vomit. Here is the situation. It is so bad, and mom's getting this done and this and blah, blah, blah. And like, it's so bad, we need help. 50% of them are kind of like that. The other 50%, very reserved, very like Priceline negotiator, like they're not letting anything slip. So the structure is really there for those kind of people. It's pretty easy to sell to people that are just like, blah, here's all my pain. And like, they're kind of setting it up for you. So I think that's our experience, kind of 50-50. But as you are getting into bigger problems, which really means more end of life stuff, then that's more apparent. If you have lighter levels of care, there's not a big problem there. It might be harder for you to do this because there's not a glaring problem. Mom's not, incontinent and, not eating and having crazy medications that are neglected, all of those kind of things. So I would say bigger problem is easier, but for each their own on their own kind of niche here. So the other kind of component before we get into the actual tour of this is connection. And I think this is super, super important. This is why some people can just sell. They can just close it. It does not matter if they are trained or not. There is some people that you just walk through on the tour and they are just going to close for you. If you are not that person, you need to hire that person. I would say that. And it's usually, I think females are better at this because what we are selling is love. It's care. And females are they're just made to love and care for people, right? That they're mothering, they're nurturing. And honestly, I like having females, our managers, run the tours as opposed to myself. I'm a very logic-driven person, a numbers-driven person, and it just doesn't come across the same. So let's talk about this, the connection, the emotion here. And I would say this, we talked about in the very beginning how sometimes they're just sitting there by the front door in the great room, they're waiting for the tour to start, and they're just observing. Environment, this is what they're observing. They're observing the environment. The environment is king. Really, I would say this is you can be not good at all of this kind of stuff, but if you have an environment that says, I want mom to move in, like without saying it, you don't even have to say a word, and they will say, hey, I want to move into that place. And so they just see it. If you can show it, that is so much more important than saying it. And honestly, they're walking through on the tour with us, and there's a lot of stuff happening, right? We have 16 grandmas and grandpas. We have 2 caregivers that are there. We have 1 or 2 managers there. There's a chef that's there. There's usually outside services that are there. Our barber might be there. Families are there. There's a lot going on in the great room. And so they actually see it. They see real life. Here's what it's like. They see the hugs. They see the love. They see one of the grandmas holding one of the caregivers' hands and saying, I love you. Like that right there, you want a testimonial? That is a testimonial worth $1 million. It does not matter what you say. When you see one of those grandmas holding the caregiver's hands and telling them I love you, that is the real deal, right? When you hear the I love you stuff, when you see the care and the environment and the culture and you see it's peaceful and you see that there's just a smoothness to it and it's just like, man, I want to be here. I want to live here. That is the environment. That, I can't tell you how to create that. Laura teaches our partners how to create that, but that's a lot more we can get into in this 45 minutes. That is really the secret behind all of this stuff. So they see the families. They literally see the daughter, the husband that is there sitting next to their spouse, their mom. They see them interacting with the caregivers. They see the chef there cooking for them, dropping food and laughing and having a good time with people. This is what we do. The hospice companies are there. They see them doing the things and doing charting and talking to the families. This is the magic that's behind the scenes that you cannot quantify, but this is what sells. And we can talk through this whole tour structure, but if you cannot create that, then it makes it so much more difficult. So I would schedule your tours at a time where they can see the environment. For us, it's usually between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. There's a lot of action, especially when you get around lunchtime. You get all those grandmas at the dinner table. Like it's a fun thing to watch. There's a lot of cool stuff that's happening.
I'm going to add a little bit on this. This is something that you can't fake. So you can do a tour and you can say all these great things that you're going to provide all this loving environment and great food. And, you know, our Platinum Angels are amazing. You can say all those things, but if they don't see that, then they're not going to believe you, right? And so you have to really create that culture and create that environment. And that is, there's a lot of things that go into that. Like what Brett said, we can't talk about all of it, but hiring the right people and making sure your managers know your culture and you yourself as the owner instilling that, because like the saying goes, it all trickles down from the top is really true. And so if you are not genuine, if you are not a kind of compassionate, caring person, it's honest and has integrity, then that's going to trickle down. So I think I always tell people just make sure that you're hiring on the right people that have that same heart and intent that you do, because it's super important.
So, I mean, we've literally had tours, and you finish the tour, and you know, it's the daughter, usually daughter, will say, "Hey, you know what? That was a great tour, but honestly, I decided to move in before the tour even started. You did not have to say anything. I sat here for 5 minutes, waited for this to start. I got here a little bit early, and I just watched. And you don't have to say anything. I know that this is the place to be. I know that this is where God wants me to have my mom," or something to that effect. Honestly, we get those so many times. And this really is an important part, is emotion over logic. Humans make big decisions based on their emotion, and then they justify it to themselves with logic. We are not made to make very logical, rational decisions on big things. This is why people buy sports cars and things like that. They envision the problem that they're going to solve, right? My social status, all of these kind of things, right? That's why you buy these big old houses, and then you justify it with tax write-offs and all these kind of things. People are here to make emotional decisions. You, as part of this tour structure, is for me to teach you how to do this and to sell with this emotional connection. And I would say this is how we do it, is honestly, great care and love is very emotional. It makes the connection. And it says here, be the answer to their prayer. Be the sign that they are looking for. And I'm not saying that to be kind of like tricky. Like, this is what people tell us all the time. Like, you have been the answer to our prayers. You are the sign that I was looking for. Be that, right? Those are emotional statements. Those are not logical statements. Something in the sales tour triggered for them, and they said, no matter what, I don't care if this is $1,000 more than all the other places, I need my mom here. That's an emotional decision. So that is a very, very key component to this, is we're not just going to go and, hey, here's everything, here's the numbers, here's the tour, blah, blah, blah. Everyone does that. No one gives a shit. Emotion is what makes the difference.